2.0T tfsi oil level sensor. Level sensor. Doesn't have anything to do with pressure, anything like that. This is going to show you the level of your oil because these engines do not come from the factory with a dipstick. So let's talk about it. In another video in the future, I'll show you how to check your oil in the MMI. It's really easy to do. Pretty much everyone knows how to do it anyway. Okay, let's say you have a false warning or you can't see your proper level or something's malfunctioning. You have no way to tell if it's correct or not because it says add oil, you keep on adding oil, you don't know how to check it, it's not working. Let me tell you how to go about it. Okay, if you don't have a fancy scan tool, if you don't have a scan tool that's geared towards these Audis, you're just gonna see what's in the cluster. You're gonna see, it's gonna say low oil, it's gonna say add oil immediately, something like that. And it's not gonna show you the oil level, or it'll say oil level not available after you wait 2 minutes and the engine operating temperature is all the way hot, you know, in between hot and cold in the middle where it normally is, and you wait 2 minutes or more and it's not showing up. We're talking about a malfunctioning oil level sensor. Okay? There's a couple things. This, if you're replacing it, you know, if you determined that it's just a faulty sensor, okay, what you can do, it's really cheap. This is the new style. The old style has a more boxy top on the top here. You just drain the oil, change the oil like normal, drain it from the bottom. There's 3 10 millimeters. You just pull this out, and then look right here. You see this? There's an O-ring in the bottom of this. This always sticks to the oil pan. You're gonna peel that off the oil pan, and then you're gonna carefully put it back in here. If you got a new one, you got a new O-ring that's already pressed in there, but you wanna make sure that everything's together and everything goes in there properly. And then these are tiny little 10 millimeter studs. Okay, if you don't know what you're doing, be extremely careful. Okay, I never use torque specs on stuff like this, but always use quarter drive on small stuff, and then just barely go back and forth and just barely go. I know people that they hired on fresh that just snap stuff like this right off. Then what? Then you're replacing an oil pan. I mean, there's workarounds, but there's studs built into you're replacing an oil pan. Okay. Now, let's say you don't need to replace it. You don't need to replace it. There's just a reset procedure. It's the first step you do is you try to do the reset procedure before you replace it. Let me walk over to the car and I'll show you what's going on. I don't have the malfunction right now, so I'm just going to explain it. It's what you do is you cycle this. When stuff like this happens, we call it being logic locked. Okay, sometimes everything's going on with modules. Sometimes some modules wig out and it's not reading correctly and it needs a type of reset. This is a type of like hard reset, kind of like on a computer or something, or on your video game system or whatever. You would just go ahead and just hit the power button, just slide it off and on, or unplug the cord, or on your, just do it some way that you're not supposed to do it rather than booting it down like normal. Okay, so what we have here is we have one of my daily drivers. All right, let's see if one of the keys is here. All right. One of the keys is not here, but let me just explain what you do. What you do, I do have a key that will cycle the ignition on at least. My key that's for this vehicle is in the house right now. What you do is you cycle the ignition on, you pop the hood. This is the hood latch reset procedure. When it's logic locked, whenever it says there's not enough oil in there, but you know there is. By the way, I have a really cool fancy oil cooler that's put on my oil filter, and maybe I'll make a video on that in the future if someone comments and says that they like that and they think that's a good idea. What we have over here, this actually even happened to my dad. What we have over here is, this is the hood latch cable, and then right below it is the electronic connector for the hood latch. So what we're gonna do is there's a little tab on the back side of it. You pull it loose. This one's actually broken, someone already broke it, but these are all the same. All these connectors are the same. What you do is you pull this little tab back, pull it back. Now that it's disconnected, what we're gonna do, All right, now that it's disconnected, what you do is you cycle the ignition key again. You cycle it, take your key, you cycle the ignition off again, or I'm sorry, on and then back off. And now you'll go plug the sensor back in. We'll go back underneath the hood and we'll plug it back in. Right there. It was unplugged, we plug it back in. All right, you make sure it's secure. You always pull back on it to make sure it's locked in place. I was just going back and forth just to show you. You only do it once. Now you can start it back up all the way. It should be completely reset. Whenever you physically do the hood latch reset with the electronic trigger, with pulling it out and putting it back in, when you physically do that, that is the most hard reset that you can do with your oil level sender. If it does not reset with that electrical connector hood latch reset with cycling the key, and then you wait and do the standard 2-minute oil to operating temperature, if it does not come up then you need to replace the sensor. So until next time, Naptown Tuner.